Husband left his pregnant wife in labor to be with his mistress. She breathed her last whispering, "Please tell my son." Mommy tried. What happened 18 years later when her son played that voice message at his father's retirement party left 300 people silent and his father screaming, "I destroyed the only person who ever truly knew me." Before we continue into this incredible story, we wish you a prosperous 2026. May every line fall perfectly into place for you and all your endeavors throughout 2026. Let us know where you're watching from in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. To stories like this touch your heart, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. You're about to hear a story that will stay with you long after it ends, and tomorrow I have something truly special waiting for you. She held her newborn son for exactly 52 seconds before her heart gave out. But her husband wasn't there to see it. He was in the parking lot, comforting his pregnant mistress who was too stressed to wait inside. "Please tell my baby boy. Mommy tried. Mommy tried so hard." Those were the last words Rebecca Martinez ever spoke. 7 words that would wait 18 years to shatter a family built on beautiful, calculated lies. Her husband, David, heard about her death via text message from a nurse. While he was helping his mistress, Claire, into his car because the hospital environment was triggering her anxiety. He didn't cry. He didn't rush back inside. He just sat there, hand on Claire's belly, she was 6 months pregnant with his child, and asked, "Is my son healthy? When can we take him home?" The funeral happened 5 days later. Quiet. Almost like David wanted to bury the guilt along with the body. Rebecca's sister, Maria, flew in from Miami. She arrived to find the casket already closed, the service already planned, and David making every decision about her sister's final goodbye like Maria didn't exist. "I want to see her," Maria demanded, voice shaking with grief and rage. David's jaw tightened. "The complications during delivery, it's better you remember her the way she was. Trust me on this." There were no complications. Just a husband who chose his mistress's comfort over calling for help fast enough when his wife started hemorrhaging. But Maria didn't know that. Not yet. She held her nephew Ethan for exactly 12 minutes before David said, "He needs to rest. This has been traumatic for everyone." Traumatic for everyone. Like Rebecca's death was some shared inconvenience rather than a catastrophe David had orchestrated through negligence and betrayal. 3 months later, Maria called to check on Ethan. A woman answered David's phone. Young voice. Cheerful. "Who is this?" Maria asked, though her stomach already knew. "Oh, I'm Claire. David's wife now, actually. We got married 2 weeks ago. Small ceremony, just us and baby Ethan. Everything happened so fast, but when you know, right?" Maria's entire body went cold. "His wife died 3 months ago." "I know," Claire said, and her voice had this rehearsed sympathy, like she'd practiced this conversation in the mirror. "It's been incredibly hard on David. But Ethan needs a mother, and David and I had been close friends for years before Rebecca passed, so it felt natural. I hope you understand. We're trying to give Ethan stability." Stability. That's what she called it. Maria called a lawyer the next day. "Unless you have evidence of abuse or neglect, the father has full custody," the lawyer explained. "Being a terrible person isn't illegal. Moving on quickly isn't illegal. Even marrying your mistress weeks after your wife dies isn't illegal." "I'm sorry. Can I at least get visitation rights? I'm his aunt. Rebecca would want." "You can try. It'll cost around $60,000, take 2 to 3 years, and you'll probably lose. Aunts and uncles have almost no rights unless the parent is proven unfit in court." Maria didn't have $60,000. She was a teacher living paycheck to paycheck, still paying off her own student loans. So she did what millions of family members do when the system fails them and love isn't enough. She swallowed her pain. She sent birthday cards every year, elaborate ones with handwritten stories about Rebecca, photos of Rebecca as a child, pictures of Rebecca pregnant with Ethan, glowing with joy just weeks before she died. She called on holidays and got voicemail. She watched her nephew grow up through the few photos David posted on social media, each one showing Ethan with Claire, never mentioning Rebecca, erasing Maria's sister from history one carefully curated post at a time. Before this story continues, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what happened next exposed 18 years of deception, destroyed 2 families, and proved that some truths don't just surface. They explode when you least expect them, taking everything you've built down with them. Let's go back to the beginning. To the day Rebecca died. Because what happened in that delivery room was worse than anyone knew. Rebecca had been in labor for 22 hours. 22 hours of contractions so violent she kept passing out. The pain came in waves that made her scream until her voice gave out completely. David stood by the window scrolling through his phone. He wasn't checking work emails. He was texting Claire, his pregnant mistress who worked as a pharmaceutical sales rep and had clearance to visit any floor in the hospital. "Almost done," he texted. "Then we can finally stop hiding." Rebecca saw the phone light up. She saw him smile at whatever Claire wrote back. She was dying from the inside out, and he was planning his future with another woman. The doctor kept saying everything was fine, textbook labor, just a few more hours. But Rebecca knew something was catastrophically wrong. She could feel it, a warmth spreading beneath her that wasn't supposed to be there. Too much warmth. Too much wetness. Then the nurse's face went white. She slammed the emergency button, and suddenly the room exploded with people in scrubs, shouting words Rebecca didn't understand. Hemorrhaging. Critical blood loss. We need to move now. The doctor was barking orders, but Rebecca's vision was already tunneling, darkness creeping in from the edges like someone was slowly dimming the lights on her life. And through it all, through the chaos and the terror and the unbearable pain, she heard David ask one question. Just one. Is the baby okay? Not, is my wife okay? Not, save her, please God save her. Just concerned for the baby. The baby he'd probably already decided would be raised by Claire anyway. They pulled Ethan from her body via emergency C-section. Rebecca heard the cry, that first beautiful heartbreaking cry, and she used every ounce of strength she had left to lift her head. Please let me hold him. The nurse, her name tag read Sandra Chin, RN, brought the baby to her. Warm weight against her chest. Tiny fingers wrapping around her thumb. A face so perfect it made Rebecca's heart shatter and heal simultaneously. She had 52 seconds. She counted them later in whatever place people go between life and death. 52 seconds to memorize her son's face. To smell that newborn smell. To whisper, I love you. I love you so much. Mommy tried. Mommy tried so hard to meet you. Then the doctors needed to work. They took Ethan away. And that's when Rebecca saw her. Claire. Standing just inside the doorway, wearing a visitor's badge and a cream-colored dress that perfectly showcased her pregnant belly. Rebecca knew that face. She'd seen it in photos on David's laptop that he thought he'd deleted. She'd smelled that perfume, something expensive, floral, on David's clothes. She'd heard that laugh in the background of David's work calls. And now Claire was here. In this room. Watching Rebecca die. Claire's hand rested protectively on her own belly. 6 months pregnant, maybe 7. The timeline crashed into Rebecca's fading consciousness like a freight train. David had gotten his mistress pregnant while Rebecca was pregnant. They'd been carrying his children at the same time. David. Rebecca's voice was barely a whisper, each word costing her everything. Why is she here? David glanced at Claire, then back at his wife. His face showed annoyance, not guilt. Annoyance. Rebecca, don't start. Claire is here to support me through this. This is difficult for me too. Difficult. For him. Difficult. Rebecca was bleeding out on a table, her life draining away with every heartbeat, and it was difficult for him. She's pregnant. Rebecca could barely form the words. You got her pregnant. While I was. Claire shifted uncomfortably, and then she did something Rebecca would never forget, something that would echo through the next 18 years like a curse. She smiled. Not a big smile, just a small, satisfied curve of her lips. The smile of a woman who'd won. David, maybe I should wait outside, Claire said, her voice dripping with false concern. This seems like a family moment. Family moment. As if she wasn't the woman who'd destroyed their family. Rebecca tried to reach for David, tried to make him see her, tried to beg him to love their son the way she couldn't stay to love him. But David had already turned away. He was walking toward Claire, not her. In the corner, Nurse Sandra stood frozen. She was 58 years old, had worked labor and delivery for 27 years, had seen tragedy and joy and everything in between. But she'd never seen this. A husband bringing his pregnant mistress to watch his wife die in childbirth. Her hand moved to her pocket where her phone sat. She pulled it out slowly, carefully, angled it toward the bed and pressed record. What she captured in the next 9 minutes would wait 18 years to surface. But when it did, it would destroy everything. Rebecca's monitors were screaming now. The doctor was shouting for more blood, more hands, more time. But time was the one thing Rebecca didn't have. She looked at Sandra. Please, Rebecca whispered, her voice fading with each word. Please, record this. Tell my baby boy. Tell him Mommy tried. Tell him I loved him more than anything. Tell him I'm sorry I couldn't stay. Tell him his mother fought. Sandra nodded, tears streaming down her face, phone still recording. David. Rebecca's voice was barely audible now. I loved you. God help me, I loved you so much. Why wasn't I enough? Why? David didn't answer. He was staring at the floor, Claire's hand on his arm. Please, love our son. Please don't let him forget me. Please. The machines went from beeping to one long, endless scream. The doctor called time of death at 4:23 a.m. And David's first words after his wife died weren't no, or please no, or I'm sorry. They were, is my son healthy? Can we take him to the nursery? Claire needs to leave soon. She has an early meeting. Claire touched his shoulder. David, we should go. This is too much. I need air. Their footsteps echoed as they walked out together. Down the hall. To the parking lot. To his car. Behind them, doctors tried desperately to revive a woman who was already gone. And in the corner, Nurse Sandra stood with a phone in her trembling hands, staring at a recording that would someday burn down a kingdom built on ashes and lies. David married Claire 4 months later. Small ceremony at City Hall, just the two of them and baby Ethan in a carrier. Claire's parents didn't come, they'd made their disapproval clear. But David's parents were there, smiling, cooing over their grandson, accepting Claire with shocking ease. She's so good with Ethan, David's mother said. Rebecca would want him to have a mother. No one mentioned that Claire had been the reason Rebecca died alone and heartbroken. They moved to a beautiful Tudor-style home in Westchester, one of New York's most affluent suburbs. 5 bedrooms, professionally landscaped yard, a pool, a golden retriever named Bailey. From the outside they looked like the American dream. Inside they were a mausoleum built on a grave. Claire was good to Ethan. That was the cruelest part. If she'd been a wicked stepmother, Ethan could have hated her cleanly, could have longed for the mother he never knew. But Claire was patient. Present. She remembered his favorite foods, attended every soccer game, helped with homework, threw elaborate birthday parties. She just wasn't mom. Ethan had no memories of Rebecca. Just stories. Your mother died right after you were born, David would say, his voice heavy with practiced grief. But she held you first. She smiled. She said she loved you. And then she closed her eyes and didn't wake up. It was peaceful. She didn't suffer. Claire would add, she would be so proud of the young man you're becoming. I try every day to honor her memory by loving you the way she would have. It sounded beautiful. It sounded healing. It sounded like truth. Ethan believed every word for 17 years. But something always felt wrong. Like a splinter buried too deep to remove but constant enough to ache. His Aunt Maria sent cards every year, long detailed letters about Rebecca. Stories about her childhood. How she loved to dance salsa. How she volunteered at homeless shelters every weekend. How she dreamed of becoming a pediatric surgeon since she was 8 years old. How she wanted a big family, Sunday dinners, traditions. The letters included photos. Rebecca at Ethan's age. The resemblance was uncanny, same eyes, same smile, same dimple on the right cheek when they laughed. Can I visit Aunt Maria? Ethan asked when he was 13. David's jaw tightened. Not a good idea, son. Maria blamed you for your mother's death. I know it's irrational, but grief makes people cruel. It's better for everyone if we keep our distance. Another lie. Another brick in the wall of deception. Ethan kept the letters anyway. Hid them in a box in his closet. Read them late at night and tried to feel connected to a mother who was just a ghost. Then came his 18th birthday. March 22, 2024. Claire threw him a party. 70 friends, catered Mexican food, Rebecca's favorite, though Claire claimed not to know that. A used car with a bow on it in the driveway. Ethan smiled and thanked everyone and felt absolutely hollow inside. That evening, after the guests left, he walked to a Starbucks 4 blocks from his house. He needed space. Needed air. Needed to feel something real. The woman was sitting in the corner, Asian, older, wearing scrubs with a hospital ID that read Sandra Chin, RN. She stood when Ethan walked in. Ethan? Ethan stopped. Do I know you? No. Sandra's voice cracked. But I knew your mother. I was her nurse the night she died. And I've been carrying something for you for 18 years. Something she wanted you to have when you were old enough to understand. She held out a small flash drive. Well, Ethan's favorite color, though this stranger couldn't have known that. What is this? The truth. Sandra's eyes filled with tears. Your mother's last words. Her real last words, not the story you've been told. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. But you deserve to know what happened. You deserve to hear her voice. She pressed a business card into Ethan's other hand. When you're ready, When you've listened and grieved and decided what to do with this, you call me. Then she left. Just walked out of the Starbucks and disappeared into the New York evening like a messenger from another world. Ethan stood there holding a flash drive that weighed nothing and everything. He walked home in a daze, went straight to his room, locked the door. His laptop sat on his desk. Brand new. A birthday gift from Claire that morning. For all your college applications, she'd said. Ethan plugged in the drive. One file. Audio recording. 9 minutes and 17 seconds long. He pressed play. And his entire world shattered. His mother's voice. Weak. Desperate. Dying. David, please, just let me hold him one more time. Please, I'm begging you. A man's voice. His father. Cold. Impatient. Rebecca, you need to save your strength. The baby's fine. Stop being dramatic. Why? Why is she here? David, why is Claire here? Ethan's heart stopped. Claire was there. At his birth. When his mother was dying. She's here to support me. This is difficult for me too, Rebecca. She's pregnant. His mother's voice broke. Oh God, David. She's pregnant. You got her pregnant while I was. And then a sound Ethan would never forget. A small laugh. Satisfied. Cruel. Claire's laugh. Ethan's hands flew to his mouth, bile rising in his throat. The recording continued. His mother crying, begging, realizing she was dying while her husband's pregnant mistress watched. Please, record this. Tell my baby boy. Tell him mommy tried. Tell him I loved him more than anything. Tell him I'm sorry I couldn't stay. Tell him his mother fought. David, I loved you. God help me, I loved you so much. Why wasn't I enough? Why? Silence. Please, love our son. Please don't let him forget me. Please. The flat line. Long and terrible. Then his father's voice. Is my son healthy? Can we take him to the nursery? Claire needs to leave soon. She has an early meeting. Ethan played it again. And again. And again. 17 times that night. By sunrise, he'd stopped crying. He'd moved past grief into something colder. Sharper. He understood now. Why Aunt Maria's letters had been discouraged. Why every photo of his mother had been removed from the house. Why Claire always changed the subject when Ethan asked about the day he was born. Why his grandparents on his mother's side were never mentioned. They'd built a family on his mother's grave. They'd erased Rebecca and replaced her with the woman who'd smiled while she died. And they'd lied to Ethan for 18 years about all of it. 4 days later at dinner, David made an announcement. So I've got some news, David said, smiling at Claire. The firm is throwing me a retirement party next month. 30 years with Morrison and Associates. Big celebration, all our friends and colleagues. Ethan, you'll give a speech, right? Say a few words about your old man? David was 58. Early retirement. He'd been planning it for years. Wanted to travel, play golf, enjoy life while he was still young enough. Claire beamed. It'll be wonderful. A celebration of everything we've built together. Ethan looked at them across the table. His father who'd let his mother die alone. His stepmother who'd been pregnant with his father's child while his mother bled out. And he smiled back. I'd be honored to give a speech, Ethan said. I'll talk about family. About love. About truth. About the legacy you've really built. David's eyes got misty. That means the world to me, son. Claire reached over and squeezed Ethan's hand. Your mother would be so proud. Ethan's smile didn't waver. Yes, he said softly. I think she would be. April 28, 2024. The Waterside Plaza in Manhattan. David's firm had spared no expense. 300 guests. Crystal chandeliers. A jazz band. Tables set with white linens and centerpieces of calla lilies. The room buzzed with conversation. Partners from the firm, clients David had worked with for decades, friends from the country club, neighbors, Claire's family, David's extended family. David stood at the center of it all in a navy suit, laughing, accepting congratulations, looking happier than Ethan had ever seen him. Speeches began after dinner. The managing partner talked about David's brilliant legal mind. A colleague told funny stories about late nights at the office. Claire gave a toast about partnership and building a beautiful life together. Then the MC announced, "We have one more speech. Ethan Martinez would like to say a few words about his father." Ethan stood. His legs felt steady. His hands didn't shake. He'd rehearsed this moment in his head 1,000 times. He walked to the microphone at the front of the room. 300 faces turned toward him. His father smiled at him with such pride it almost made Ethan hesitate. Almost. "Hi everyone," Ethan said. His voice came out clear. Strong. "Thank you for being here to celebrate my dad's retirement. 30 years is incredible. 30 years of dedication, hard work, building a life. He paused. But tonight, I want to talk about someone who's been missing from our family for 18 years. My mother. Rebecca. The room went quiet. David's smile faltered. Claire's hand tightened on her wine glass. I never knew my mom, Ethan continued. She died when I was born. And my whole life I've been told the same story. That she died peacefully. That she held me and smiled and closed her eyes like she was going to sleep. That it was beautiful and painless and she was happy. Ethan reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small remote. Behind him, a screen descended from the ceiling. The lights dimmed. But 2 weeks ago, I met a nurse named Sandra Chin. She was with my mother the night she died. And she gave me something my mother wanted me to have. The truth. David stood up abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. Ethan, what are you? Sit down, Dad. Ethan's voice cut through the room like glass. For 18 years you've talked. Tonight you listen. He pressed the button. The speakers crackled. Then Rebecca's voice filled the ballroom. Weak, desperate, dying. David, please, just let me hold him one more time. Please, I'm begging you. You could have heard a pin drop. Every person in that room froze. On the screen a photo appeared. Rebecca, 9 months pregnant, glowing, laughing at the camera with her hands on her belly. The date stamp, 3 weeks before she died. The recording continued. Rebecca, you need to save your strength. The baby's fine. Stop being dramatic. Why? Why is she here? David, why is Claire here? Gasps rippled through the crowd. 300 heads turned to look at Claire. Her face had gone white. She was shaking her head frantically. No. No, no, no. But the recording didn't stop. She's here to support me. This is difficult for me too, Rebecca. She's pregnant. Oh God, David. She's pregnant. You got her pregnant while I was. The laugh. Claire's laugh. Small but unmistakable. Someone in the audience let out a strangled sob. The recording played on. Rebecca begging to hold her baby. David refusing. Rebecca realizing she was dying while her husband's pregnant mistress stood in the corner watching. Please, record this. Tell my baby boy. Tell him Mommy tried. Tell him I loved him more than anything. Ethan's voice broke, but he didn't stop the recording. He let everyone hear the flatline. He let everyone hear his father's response. Is my son healthy? Can we take him to the nursery? Claire needs to leave soon. She has an early meeting. He let everyone hear footsteps walking away while doctors tried to save Rebecca's life. When the recording ended, the silence was deafening. Ethan looked at his father. David was still standing but barely. His face had gone gray. His hands gripped the table like he might collapse. You lied to me, Ethan said. For 18 years you lied. You told me she died peacefully. You told me she was happy. You told me she smiled. His voice rose. She didn't smile, Dad. She begged. She cried. She died knowing you chose your mistress over her. She died knowing you got another woman pregnant while she was carrying me. She died asking you to love me. And you couldn't even stay in the room. You left her. You left her to die alone. David tried to speak. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. Ethan turned to Claire. And you laughed. My mother was dying and you laughed. Claire was crying now, mascara streaming down her face. I was nervous, I didn't mean. You were 6 months pregnant with his child, Ethan said. You were in that delivery room watching his wife die so you could take her place. Don't tell me you didn't mean it. You meant every second of it. He turned back to the crowd. In the back corner 2 people stood. An older couple. Aunt Maria had brought Rebecca's parents, Ethan's grandparents, who he'd never been allowed to meet. They were both crying, holding each other, staring at their grandson with heartbreak and love. My grandparents tried to be part of my life, Ethan said. They sent letters. They called. They begged to see me. And my father told me they blamed me for my mother's death. He looked at David. Another lie. They loved me. They wanted me. But you kept me from them because they knew the truth, and you couldn't risk them telling me. His voice broke. You built your entire life on my mother's grave. You erased her. You replaced her. You made me call her murderer, Mom. I didn't murder her, Claire whispered. You laughed while she died, Ethan said. You took her husband. You took her son. You took her life. Maybe you didn't kill her body, but you killed her memory. You killed everything she was. And you smiled while you did it. David finally found his voice. Came out broken. Destroyed. Ethan. God, Ethan, I'm sorry. I was weak. I was selfish. I made terrible choices. But I love you. I've always loved you. You loved yourself, Ethan said. You loved your mistress. You loved your comfortable life. But you didn't love her. And you didn't love me enough to tell me the truth. He picked up the remote. Started walking toward the exit. Ethan, please. David was stumbling toward him now. Please don't leave like this. Let me explain. Let me. He stopped. His legs gave out. He collapsed to his knees in the middle of the ballroom floor, in his expensive suit, surrounded by 300 witnesses. And he screamed. The sound that came out of him was animal. Primal. Raw. I destroyed her. His voice echoed off the chandeliers. I destroyed the only person who ever truly knew me. I destroyed her and I knew it and I did nothing. Oh God. Oh God, Rebecca, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. He was sobbing now. Gasping. Choking on it. His partners rushed to him. He pushed them away. Claire reached for him and he recoiled like she'd burned him. Don't touch me. Don't ever fucking touch me again. Ethan stood at the doorway watching his father fall apart. He waited for the satisfaction. The victory. The sweet taste of revenge. But all he felt was empty. He looked at his grandparents. They were standing now. Maria held out her arms. Ethan walked past his broken father, past his sobbing stepmother, past 300 horrified guests. Straight into his grandmother's embrace. Take me home, he whispered. Tell me about my mom. The real stories. Not the lies. His grandmother held her grandson for the first time in 18 years and nodded through her tears. Every story, baby. Every single one. They left David on his knees in the ruins of his perfect life. Within 48 hours the video went viral. Someone had recorded Ethan's speech on their phone. 20 million views. 50 million. 100 million. News outlets picked it up. Son exposes father's betrayal at retirement party. The recording that destroyed a family. David resigned from his firm before they could fire him. The PR nightmare was too severe. Clients pulled their accounts. Partners distanced themselves. Claire filed for divorce within a week. Turns out loyalty only runs deep when life is comfortable. When the world is watching and judging, even 18 years of marriage crumbles fast. David's parents stopped speaking to him. His friends disappeared. His country club membership was politely revoked. He ended up in a one-bedroom apartment in Queens, alone with his guilt and regret and a silence that never stopped screaming. Ethan moved to Miami with his Aunt Maria. Finished his senior year there. His grandparents told him everything about Rebecca. How she loved to dance. How she volunteered every weekend. How she dreamed of becoming a pediatric surgeon since she was a child. How she wanted a big family and Sunday dinners and traditions. How she'd loved David with everything she had, even when she suspected he was cheating, because she believed in second chances. How she died hoping he would choose her. Ethan applied to medical school. His mother's dream. On his application essay he wrote about a woman he never met but who shaped everything he was. My mother taught me, Ethan wrote, that truth matters more than comfort. That love means showing up even when it's hard. That some people will choose easy over right every single time. And that when you're faced with lies or truth, you choose truth always. Even when it destroys you. Especially then. He got accepted to Columbia. Full scholarship. Same medical program his mother had dreamed of attending. On his first day he wore a small silver bracelet his grandmother had given him. It had belonged to Rebecca. Engraved on the inside, Love Fights. Ethan became a pediatric surgeon. He held the hands of terrified parents. He made sure families stayed together in crisis. He spoke up when he saw neglect or cruelty. Because his mother had died surrounded by silence. People who knew but said nothing. People who suspected but looked away. People who chose comfort over confrontation. Not anymore. Not on Ethan's watch. Some sins don't just haunt you. They wait. They watch. They let you build your castle of comfort and success and perfect family photos. And then when you're at your happiest, when you've almost convinced yourself the past is buried, they rise up and destroy everything. Because the truth doesn't care about your timeline. It doesn't care about your redemption arc or your second chances or how much you've changed. The truth just is. And eventually always, it comes out. David learned that the hard way. On his knees. In front of everyone. Too late to matter. Ethan never spoke to him again. Years later he heard David tried to get sober, tried to make amends, wrote letters Ethan never opened. But some bridges once burned can't be rebuilt. Some betrayals are too deep. Some lies kill more than just relationships. They kill who you could have been. The recording that changed everything now sits in the National Women's History Museum in Washington, D.C. Sandra Chin donated it along with her detailed testimony of that night. This, the exhibit placard reads, is what happens when we stay silent in the face of cruelty. This is the cost of choosing comfort over truth. This is why we must bear witness. Always. Millions of people have walked through that exhibit. Listen to Rebecca's last words. Cried. Promise to do better. To speak up. To choose truth. And in Miami, Ethan graduated medical school top of his class. His grandparents sat in the front row. Next to them, 3 empty seats. One for Rebecca. One for the life she should have lived. One for the mother-son relationship that was stolen by lies. But they weren't really empty. Some people, even in death, fill every room they're remembered in. Rebecca was there. In her son's determination. In his refusal to accept comfortable lies over painful truth. In his choice to become what she dreamed of becoming. She was there. She would always be there. Because love doesn't die when the body does. It lives in the people left behind. In the choices they make. In the truth they refuse to bury. And that truth, once freed, changes everything. Now tell us, where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. And if this story moved you, if it made you think about the lies we tell ourselves and the truths we're afraid to speak, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on the notification bell. Because stories like this, stories that make you feel something real, stories that challenge you to choose truth over comfort. These are the stories that matter. And I've got more coming. Stories that will break your heart and put it back together stronger. Stories that will make you question everything you thought you knew about loyalty, love, and justice. Don't miss them. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. And I'll see you in the next one.